Hello, everyone. It is a wonderful afternoon in Wisconsin. It is mild today compared to the 100-degree sauna we had about a week ago. And I want to kind of talk about what I had to do when I became an empty nester, estranged parent, etc. And when my daughter's estranged, I was about 40 years old. And I fortunately had a job and I had to get up and go to work. So I had to get out of bed and I had to be productive because I had to survive and feed myself and pay my mortgage and etc. And so after struggling for a little while and then talking to a therapist, she said, "You need to get a life." I said, "Well, my kids are my life." And she says, "No, you have to get a life. You have to create a new life." And I said, "Okay." And so I had to decide what I was going to do to create that life. And I had to go back to what I enjoyed doing when I was young. And um, I started to do photography. I did crossword puzzles. I got out of the house, went places I hadn't for a while, went on a road trip. I had to establish who I was again. And it's not easy. I think a lot of times it's almost as if someone's pulled the rug out and you're falling, but there's no bottom and you keep falling and falling. When is this going to end? When am I going to land? And what happens is you end up landing when you decide to let go. Let's just say you're floating around and hanging onto balloons like in the movie Up, and kind of just floating around, not really sure what to do. But there comes a point in time, even when all balloons deflate and they take you down, and you can either fall gently or you can come to a crashing halt. And so it is really a surreal experience to not have our children in our lives when that is the expected plan, when all of our hopes and dreams have been in raising our children and then in enjoying the fruits of our labors. We know one day we're going to be grandparents and we're going to be able to enjoy a second parenthood, which means you become grandparents. And so now instead of having to discipline and set rules, you can just have your grandkids over and just enjoy the next phase. And so I know it's difficult. I know it's not, I'm in a place that I didn't think I'd be, and not that I'm in a much better place because my children are gone. I had to create a new life for myself. I had to get a life and I had to start living. And so I just want to say that I understand. I know where you're at. I know where you're coming from. I know the struggles, the hurt, the heartache, and the pain, and the tears. Um, I know some days I don't want to get out of bed. Some days I cry. It's every day you're going to think about your estranged children. And sooner than later, if you accept it and start getting a life and creating a new existence for yourself, which means you have to revamp your house. If your estranged child still has a bedroom at your home and it's 2, 5, 10 years later, it's time to clean that room out and make that space something you want it to be, whether it's you just put one plant in the room or you set up an easel or you put a chair in there so you can rest, meditate, plan your next day, write down your hopes and dreams. You can put up a dream board, which is really exciting. So first and foremost, I had to reclaim my space and I had to create my own space. And then I had to fill it with joy again, whether it was through put a painting on the wall or invite friends over. There's a lot of ways to add joy to your life, even if you add a new set of curtains that you always wanted when you were a little girl. even if other people think they're silly, because a lot of times after estrangement, I was by myself and I didn't invite people over because I wasn't in the mood to invite people over. I wasn't in a good headspace. So think about that. So, how can you get a life? That's the question. Only you have the answer. I'll be back.